build a mountain, least I hope I will. Gonna build a mountain, gonna build it high. I don't know how I'm gonna do it, only know I'm gonna try.
Hi, and welcome. I'm so glad that you can stop in and hear a great discussion today, because today I am honored and privileged to not only interview and find out answers about Children's Disability Support Network, but its owner, its founder, and my daughter, Candice Janzen. Welcome, and so good to have you here. Thank you so much for being here, everybody. And you're going to have a treat today, because we're going to talk about Candice's why and how all this started. So Candice, tell me your journey. How did this all start?
Well, I guess it would have started, just about 9 years ago now, because my daughter, she was born. I was excited. I was anticipating, all of the things that I do as a new mom, and all the moms groups and all the baby clothes and all the milestones. So I was thrilled. So I had her. She was beautiful. She was perfect, and she still is. But so at 8 weeks old, I found her in her bassinet. I was checking on her while she was having a nap, and she wasn't breathing. So when I went in, I noticed, she was blue. She had no pulse. She yelled for my fiance to come. So he came and started doing CPR on her. I called 911 and got them on the phone with him, and so he could take that, so he could do it properly. And I ran next door to get help, because I knew that my neighbor was a nurse. She was revived. She was in the hospital for about 5 weeks in the ICU. They for the first 2 weeks they didn't tell us if she'd live or not. So she was, imagine. Yeah, she was hooked up to breathing machine. She was hooked up to everything imaginable. I didn't get to hold her for the first week at all. She was just in the bed. So after they told us that she has severe brain damage due to the lack of oxygen, but when we take her home, she'll need a lot of help. But that was, and I made a video, and it's called The Best Day of My Life, because that's what it explains. That now that's all I wanted. I just wanted them to say she's gonna live, and here you go, and take her home, because it didn't matter. It didn't matter what the outcome was or how it was gonna look in the future. It was just, I just wanted her, right? So so when we left the hospital, it was tough, just because of the unknown. I think not knowing the future and having everything planned one way, where, you see on TV, you see your parents, you see your friends, this is how you're supposed to raise a baby, and it wasn't looking like that for me. So it was kind of all the unknowns, and I wasn't really ready for it. And I guess you can't be prepared for something like that. Never. And so yeah, but I was in love with her, and everything that she did was perfect. And if she burped, I had a party. If she farted, it was everything that she did I was still in awe. I was still in, the mom glow, and I was excited. I was scared for her, and I just didn't, the unknown was the biggest challenge. The professionals say, this is available or this is available, but at the time you're kind of, you have your child, and this is going on, and you're thinking about that, and they just told you this. And so when you get home and you're trying to remember these resources, it's just a lot, but, and then you don't get anything. So when I realized, okay, this is tough to find resources, and I was talking to other moms, and we're like, yeah, I know, it's kind of like we feel alone, even though we're not alone, because I think they say 1 in every 4 children are born with diagnosed with some type of a disability, right? And so there's a lot of us out there, but we still feel alone for some reason, because the typical places that you go, play places and stuff like that, it's just that's not who you run into, right? So how this
she was diagnosed with near SIDS, is that correct?
yeah, typically there's not a lot of near SIDS. There's a lot of SIDS, sudden infant death syndrome, where they pass. So for her to actually be alive here, and I really do feel blessed, and that she's here for a reason. My life was consumed of therapy appointments, Google searches, everything that I can think of to get her as independent and hitting her milestones.
So because of the SIDS, what was she diagnosed with? Like
the cerebral palsy and cortical visual impairment. So I've learned a lot about both of those, and we've been, we do therapy through play, and we do therapy in kind of everything we do. It's been a lot of learning, and but with the CVI, she's not blind. She can't see like you or I, but we're teaching her how to see, and that's a totally new concept for me. And it's so cool that there's a light at the end of the tunnel saying, that there can be improvement, and there are things that we can put into place to help her develop that skill. And I didn't realize that was a skill. I didn't, we don't think that vision, it's just kind of an automatic thing, but with her, it's something that we need to teach her, and she's doing amazing. She's she's seeing things that she didn't see before, and recognizing and processing things, and it's so cool.
I think if I can share a personal experience as a grandma here and just kind of interject, when Kalea was maybe a year and a half old, I was picking her up, and I know that when people have disabilities or impairments of some senses, that there's others are more highly developed, right? But I remember, and I didn't realize this, but I remember picking her up, and I must have gone, I must have grunted as I picked her up. But I didn't hear it. I didn't think about it. And then she repeated it. She went, oh, and I went, oh, why are you doing that? And she goes, you did that, Grandma. It's like, oh my God, I didn't even realize I did that when I picked you up. So she hears so well, and she's so attuned. And if I say one day that I hurt my ankle, and then I'll come back into the house a week or so later, and she'll say, how's your ankle, Grandma? She remembers things. She's very, very in tune to a lot of things. She's very special.
She is, yeah. Oh yeah, and her other senses are heightened beyond. Like, she hears things that I do not hear. She knows when someone's coming in the door. She knows if Daddy sneezed from downstairs. Like, it's pretty cool. Yeah.
That's amazing. Well, thank you for sharing that story about your daughter. And I mean that the experiences that we have in life pave the way to the decisions that we make as an adult. And I just wanted to know, so what brought you here today as the founder of the Children's Disability Support Network?
Yeah, well, caring for her, but I mean, we also went shopping, we went to play places, she was my sidekick, we did everything together. But I realized that when I took her to play places, it wasn't functional. I mean, it wasn't accessible for her. You pressed a button and the door opened, and that was pretty much the extent of accessibility that I didn't even realize or think about before. So yeah, it was just, that was something that I felt, where can I take her to, like, she can go on a swing, it just needs, more supports, or she can do some of these things, and I can, but where are these things available other than, some type of therapy room at the Glen Rose or something like that. But that's therapy. That's not, you can't just go and play there, right?
Oh.
So yeah, and I was hearing from other parents, like, where do you go? Like, we can take our kids to parks and indoor play parks and places like that, but they can't really participate, and that's the whole point, right?
And they can't play with their siblings either, right? Like, they can't even if they wanted to. right?
Well, exactly. Yeah. So, and that's, you know, the beginning of, you know, learning new skills and, you know, how to play with others and how to, you know, problem solve and like a whole bunch of things is through play, right? At, you know, places like that or daycares or, you know, like just in play settings. But, so I was thinking, you know what, why is there not a place where I can take my child? Like, this is not inclusive. And that was a new word that I learned too. I mean, I knew what inclusive was, but to the depths of how I see it now, this is not inclusive. There are a lot of things that are not inclusive, and they don't even realize it, right? So I thought, you know what, I need to maybe make a place where we can bring our kids and just play. So through that, I came up with I Can Play Too and the Children's Disability Support Network. So the Children's Disability Support Network is a nonprofit organization, and through that, the I Can Play Too was our big project, and that was going to be. So this is pre-COVID. So this is what I was working on, and yeah, it was going to be and still will. But this is what I was working on. Yeah, a typical play place for children to come and play it, with all abilities. You can come if you have a disability or not, but there's things for everyone. So everything is taken into consideration, from parking to the restrooms with an actual change table that you can change, you know, kids that are bigger than babies. So you don't have to lay them on the floor when you're changing them, because, you know, that's things that, you know, we have to do. If we don't want them to be sitting in a soiled diet, like that's just, you make your choices. And most people won't put their purses on the floor in a public restroom, but we have to put our children there. And it just, you know, it's things that people don't know, and so they don't think about, and it's not, you know, addressed when they're, you know, making these types of places. So this facility was going to be taking all of it into consideration, from lighting. The halogen lights are way too bright for most kids. A lot have sensory issues, and so lights and colors, and we were going to have, you know, just kind of neutral, natural colors, so it wasn't overstimulation. Have a sensory room, so, you know, the kids that need things brought to them, if they can't bring themselves to it, that can be something that they can do as well, if they like the quiet or the lights. Yeah, and just play equipment that it just has more supports, harnesses, but also typical play equipment that anyone can play on.
That's
Birthday
exciting.
parties,
That's exciting.
Yeah, so that's still something that's going to happen. But COVID kind of put the brakes on that a little bit, you know, just with the, you know, with the restrictions and everything. So, and, you know, it might have been a blessing in disguise, because that's now how I can, the Children's Disability Support Network, the hub, the website came into fruition. I guess it's just, I said, well, I guess if we can't do this, we still have, you know, our nonprofit, and we, you know, we still were, you know, we had some support groups and stuff like that. But now, well, let's just do it online, right? Because, and now what else? So the kids, you know, can't play, but what else needs to be addressed? And what else did I have issues with along my journey? And that was resources, and that was supports, you know, just peer support, and not just peer support, because I have my family and friends, but they don't really understand what I'm dealing with in a certain way, right? You get a different feeling when you're with someone that gets it, almost like you don't have to even talk. It's like, I get you, and I feel you, because that validation is huge. So yeah, and the resources, it's like, what do I search for? I don't know what I'm looking for, because I'm searching for something that could maybe help my daughter, but I don't know what it could be, because there could be something new. And, you know,
I know that you did a lot of Candice oriented contraptions around so that Kalea could use a jolly jumper with a harness. So you were, making things for her that you were adapting a lot of things in your home to make her able to just do things that other children could do automatically, right?
Yeah. It was, that was a thing that kind of sparked also the I can play too, because some people would see this and like, oh, that's so cool. I want, I wish my child could go in that, or it's like, well, hey, actually, let's make this into somewhere
Yeah.
where, right? But yeah, there's things that worked really well for Claire as a little baby, and like little baby things that, because they have the supports. But as she grew, this doesn't fit her anymore, and they don't have anything like this other. I'm sure they have special needs, adapted things that cost $18,000 for like a little plastic thing that. And I thought, what, I can make that, so I built a frame, using what I had, just adapted things. So her jolly jumper, now she had the same little jolly jumper harness, but then added carabiners to make it longer. So as she grew, and then
raised it up.
Exactly, raised it up, and then hooked it on the door, and now I'm gonna have to hook it on the ceiling because she's almost like this tall. But but doing those things, now she has that feeling of independence, and I'm standing on my own and nobody is holding me. So even feeling like where she is in space and weight bearing, and but knowing she's safe, if she's not going to fall. So yeah, I made a lot of adapted things that I'd love to share with people, and so that was another reason that I wanted to help out with tips and tricks and things that I built, and what you have in your own home that you don't have to pay all that money for, something that you can easily make.
Right.
Yeah, so with those support groups that was involved there, I was kind of sharing what I did, and it could help someone else. So it's going to be, it's going to be the umbrella and the hub for all of the organizations that already exist. And there's a lot of amazing places that can help us, help our children, help support us, but sometimes they're really hard to find and you don't know where to look. And
especially when you're a new mom, especially when we just left the hospital, who do you call?
Yes.
And you're overwhelmed, and I'm sure that the stress is really high. Everything's very super sensitive. You're just learning all these things that you have to learn as a parent. So you don't even know what questions to ask.
Exactly. So and I realized that now going to all these different places, the resources and the organizations that I went to for my daughter, I realized that they're all silos, right? They don't talk to each other a lot or know about what they're doing, or even give out other resources, right? It's like, well, this is what we do, and we know all about this, but I'm not too sure about that, right? Because they're silos. So and I don't think that's I think there's enough room in the sandbox for everyone to play. I don't think that it needs to be like that. I'm sure funding has a part to do. I'm not too sure why it's like that, but it shouldn't be like that, because that's just it's making it harder for them to give their services to people that don't know they exist. It's hard for us as parents to find them if we don't know they exist. And so I thought, okay, you know what? There needs to be one place that you go to that's just, you can find resources, you can find support, whether it's, you're for yourself, because, you don't know how to deal with it. You're having the feelings that, and you're being affected, or you have other children and the sibling is having issues because of what's going on here. So just like,
it's a support for the whole family, right?
Exactly. Yeah. And just one place to find, and even if you don't know what you're looking for, you can just, this is my problem, and then the people that are in there, because that's where you find the best and most information is from people that have been there, done that, right? So, when you're talking to other parents that have gone through this, or might, be having a, you know, a different journey, but, you know, on the similar playing field, it's still relatable, and it's still, oh, did you try this? Oh no, that's amazing. And that's where you get those good the tips. So yeah, so you don't even need to know the questions. You just say, this is what I'm struggling with. And then, you know, there's people that can say, oh, have you tried this? There's this. And so it's just a community. It needs to be a community of people and organizations that are all in it for the same reason, just to help and support each other. So yeah, I want to help as many parents as I can. And every time I talk to another parent, they help me, right? Because I mean, I'm only 8 years into this journey and only in these 2 specific areas of diagnosis. But someone else has experienced something completely different, but still can help me in many ways. So, I mean, it's just, you know, and just, you know, even at the beginning, like just giving that glimmer of hope and this, we know what you're going through, and this is just a phase. This is not what you're gonna be, you know, these worries and these unknowns. You're gonna get past this.
Support for the whole family, because even if you've got siblings, the spouses or the grandparents who want to help but they don't know how, I think it's really global what you're offering. It's going to be people from all of those categories, and even friends of friends who have children with special needs. I mean, sometimes they don't know what to say or do, and sometimes they're uncomfortable and they might just retreat and back off. And sometimes you lose your friends because something that was different that they didn't know and understand about, right? So I think that I love your idea, because it's a support and a hub for everybody who is affected by, you know, this one little child that's been born, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. And and it's just one place you can go and fit in. It's a community. Because right now I feel anyways, and well, before this, but and other people that I've talked to, it's just, they feel so isolated, and it doesn't have to be like that, because you know, I mean, there's so many people out there that wanna, you know, talk or listen and suggest and advise, and let's just all meet each other. Let's all be in this one place where we can have this amazing community, right? Where our focus is giving our child and our children the best life possible, you know, which, you know, that's any parent, right? Exactly. But we just need to do it a little different, because it's not as available and accessible as other things. So so this hub is going to be somewhere where, I mean, it's amazing. We have a PT corner where you can go. We have a PT on our board, so she's going to give ideas about, you know, like if you're having, like, going up the stairs, or just little areas, and kind of maybe show different movements that can help. A child psychologist that it's called Ask Chris. No appointments needed. So it's gonna be, it's a really cool group that you can go and ask questions.
Emotional and cognitive problems. Like, there's questions that you just don't know. Is this normal for my child, or is this something I should be worried about? And it could be anything, right? I mean, there's quite a large scope of questions that you could ask, just, you know, just to help you steer in the right direction. And then that psychologist can also give you suggestions on who else to talk to or who to make an appointment with. But at least now you know more than you knew before you asked the question, right? I love that you have so many different people available. So physical therapists, you've got psychologists, and who else do you have on that team?
We also have respite and care providers, a list. We're kind of working on that as we speak. So just getting that, because, you know, there are some agencies available for respite and personal care. But, you know, sometimes you don't want to take that route, and you want someone, you know, that you know is going to come, the same person every time, that your child's going to, you know, build a relationship with, and that's a good fit. And that you want to hire privately, but it's really hard to find those people, because there's no listings for those types of people, right? So, I mean, going on Kijiji or somewhere and saying, can you watch my child? That's not really, because
it's not safe.
It's not safe for any child, really, right? But let alone having those different types of, the knowledge background on different abilities and maybe trachs and, feeding tubes and, just having that background, right? So yeah, we have a professor in nursing on our board as well. So so she's reaching out to some of her students, and so we're gonna find the best qualified people that are kind of already in that field, that nurturing field, and that want the experience and want to help and can help.
Candice has got just not only the website that you can access, she's also got the hub that she's talking about. And I know that she's going to be publishing some podcasts with really important people that can answer really specific questions. And this is just all coming together. Thank you, COVID, because it's bringing that awareness and it's making everything just a little bit more specific for the needs that are out there. So I want to have one more question for Candice. What is your call to action? How can people get, like, if they want to get involved? There's so many ways that I'm sure that they can be involved with this. I can just see parents or volunteers or caregivers or everybody. How can they contact you and get involved, like today?
Yeah. So, I mean, you can be involved in any way you want. This is a community project. It's not just if you have a child with a diagnosis either. This is, if you just have a passion and understand that, that there's a gap in the system and we need to fill that and help, people caring for children with disabilities in just a little bit of a different way. So you can log on to the website, and I think you'll put the link down below, but it's www.cdsnetwork.info. And yeah, so you can go and you can register and become a member. So then you'll get updates if people add you to their friends list, or there's new groups, or it will be filled with resources and information. You can also contact me at info@cdsnetwork.info. All that will be in the link below, or you can call me as well. But you can volunteer if you want to be, if you're interested in being on the board, if you feel that there's, an area that you would like to help support. It takes a village, right? And this needs to be out there for people to just go and be supported. So if you have, if anyone has friends or family that are dealing with, anything related to a child with a disability, just share the website, and I'd love to see you on there.
Exactly. I'm sure there'll be a special place for rants, and there'll be a great place for discussion. You can actually type in whatever your child might have and find resources about that issue. So the gamut is large, and this is an amazing village that you can be part of. And if you want to learn more, like Candice said, just go to her website. And again, you'll see the link below. And I want to thank you so much, Candice Janzen, for being here and sharing this amazing vision that we see coming to fruition. It's very exciting, and we're glad to be a part of it today. So everybody, please take note, give Candice a call, or check out her website. And we'll see you next time. Thanks for joining Rise and Shine at the Hub with Sue Cafe. Thanks.
Gonna build a daydream, gonna see it through. Gonna build a mountain and a daydream, gonna make them both come true.